Hello, and welcome to the Brick and Mortar Detroit podcast, where we discuss business, real estate, lifestyle, and travel. I'm your host, Eric Andrews, founder and owner of Brick and Mortar Detroit Real Estate Brokerage. I started this podcast for boots on the ground insights from not just one, but as many industry professionals that I could find. Today's guest is Jeff and Jessica Haynes. Hey guys, welcome, and thank you for coming on to the Brick and Mortar Detroit podcast. Tell me about yourself.
Thank you so much for having us, Eric.
Yeah, good morning, Eric. Thank you so much for inviting us. It's cool.
Oh, thanks for coming. What time is it there?
It is morning, right? So 9:52 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Wow, you guys are pretty far behind us. It's like 3 o'clock here, so that's awesome. But yeah, tell me about yourself.
Yeah, so we've been realtors here on the island for a few years. Jeff a little bit longer than I have. We go back all the way to Michigan, where we're originally from, and we kind of got our, feet wet in the real estate world with our parents, doing investing, construction, flips, and just owning their own homes at different points. So it's been kind of cool to bring that knowledge over to the island and work together and learn and help people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Wow. So you guys have been doing this pretty much your whole life? Is that what I'm hearing?
I guess we can say that.
You know, I would say so. Like your family has done the investment properties, the flips. My family was in residential construction and remodels. So we've got deep roots.
Yeah, perfect for you.
Yeah, it's like once we start looking, we start thinking like, I guess we have been doing this for a while, seeing all the ups and downs of the recession and going from this town to that town. So yeah, it has been our whole life, I guess.
Wow. So, that's really good, because at the end of the day, you can definitely sell that to your buyers and sellers and say, hey, we've been doing this pretty much since we can remember. So I would definitely hire you.
Thank you.
So you guys say you are from Detroit and now you are in Hawaii. So what part of Hawaii are you in?
So we live on Oahu, the west side of Oahu. And for anyone who's like kind of familiar, like Oahu tends to be the biggest tourist destination. It's the most populous island. It's nowhere near the volcano on the Big Island, for anyone who doesn't know that.
Smart. Big misconception.
Right.
Gotcha. And what took you to Hawaii?
Work. So I had worked in Michigan in security, and that kind of transitioned into commercial property management. That took me to Florida, where we got married. And then after Florida, we got an opportunity to come out here to Oahu. And I think it was a pretty great opportunity. We decided to stick around.
Yeah. So you guys like the warm tropical places, it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, I do.
Right. Yeah. I miss the snow. I miss the seasons a bit, I think I can say that because I don't deal with it every day.
Yeah, no, all of my family members have moved somewhere warm, and they're like, oh yeah, I miss the snow sometimes, but overall they still have not moved back. So I totally get that. And so can you tell me, what do you guys like most about Hawaii?
What do you got?
That's a good one. I think I'm always still learning about the island, but I think the main thing you see is a lot of like nature and like what I'm used to calling exotic animals, like we have peacocks and whales and iguanas and lizards. Actually, I haven't seen iguanas, geckos and, different kinds of natural things. I love hiking here. We do a beach cleanup every month. So we've been able to give back to conservation efforts and just community service. And then it's an overall, you've heard of aloha spirit, it's this overall like love and energy and spirit that just like permeates everything. And that's really nice. And Detroit has it too, which is actually beautiful. We have that Detroit spirit. We've got a lot of heart, and it's just something you have to like learn. I think coming from Detroit helped to really appreciate when we saw it here, like right away.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what's the day-to-day life like? Is it fast paced? Is it slow pace?
I think that's what's great about being on Oahu specifically, is that it can be whatever pace you want. So for me, especially when I got licensed in 2017, I wanted to be as busy as possible. And so every single day, door knocking, open house, in the office, making calls, doing meetings, doing trainings, whatever. And you could grind and work every single day if you want to, or if you want to take a slower pace, the island enables you to do that as well, and sort of relax, be a little bit more focused and a little bit more deliberate.
Gotcha. So would you say, I mean, obviously you're in real estate, so it's still stressful, but is it, I don't know. What's my question? My question is, are you as stressed as, do you think you would be as stressed if you were somewhere else? Because all the nature and all of the relaxing atmosphere, is it still crazy stressful?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Honest
And I'm a
answer.
yoga teacher, right? So I teach yoga also. And all my friends come here and they're like, how could anybody be stressed? How could no one go to the beach? I was like, just like you can be depressed in a high rise, just like you can be depressed in a shelter, it's somebody that doesn't have that. And it's somebody, even where you are, is somebody that's like, oh, I wish I could do that. And so it's all in your mind, right? Like,
Absolutely.
you have what is that inner confidence to do it. But I would say it's a slow pace, much more slow pace environment, just like driving and service and taking your time to do things. But you can control that pace for sure.
Gotcha. And okay, so like, because I've never been to Hawaii. Actually, it's always been like a dream of mine to go to Hawaii, and I've been not everywhere, but I've been a lot of places, and I haven't been to Hawaii yet. So like, would you say, is it small? Is it big? Is it crowded? How would you describe, at least where you guys are, in terms of like geography and proximity, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So the island of Oahu has about 1 million residents on it at any given time, and then the tourist population is like increasing a lot since COVID is maybe getting under control a bit. Knock on wood. But it surprised me when we first got here, and downtown Honolulu, Waikiki, that area, tons of skyscrapers and high rises and people running around, tons of traffic, tons of transit, and it was just like, whoa,
it was very urban.
Yeah, it was a big,
it was
a major city, And then you take like a 35-40 minute drive to the North Shore, and it's just the exact opposite: farmland, horses, relaxed, still a little bit of traffic depending on the time of day, but much slower and a little bit more chill. So it really depends on what you're looking for, because Oahu tends to have something for everybody.
Gotcha. So do you guys think, or at least, obviously you might like something different individually, but do you guys like the more urban feel or the more country feel, or does it just depend on the day?
Oh, the day, actually, because it's like, oh, let's go to town. And we always joke about that, like after a long day, we're like, all right, we're done. We're like, no, let's go to town. We're not going to town. We're about to stay, in this quiet, we're on the quiet side. It's very
nice.
Kind of country, they call it. It's not really the country, but there are, acres and farmland too. So
yeah. Okay. And then so like, what is your day-to-day life? So as realtors, and then also on you personally, what would you say from, I don't know, the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, what is your day-to-day like?
I'm on the phone pretty much, first thing we get up and we actually try to establish a routine where we do some self-care, some self-monitoring, some prayer, some togetherness. And then, basically as soon as we do that, we get into the routine. Like, I'm on the phone checking emails, making calls, doing text messages with clients and, whoever else in the morning. I'm actually trying to finish my bachelor's degree right now. So I'm like doing school mixed with that. And every day is a little bit of that, right? Just keeping in touch with clients, scheduling showings, doing, whatever. Real estate kind of presents different challenges every day. So like, just for today, on the plan is to get keys to a client that just closed today, and then possibly replace a toilet valve that's causing an issue.
Yeah, exactly. All over the place. All types of
Luckily, we don't have to do that every week.
And what misconceptions have you noticed that people tend to have about Hawaii in general?
What do you think?
I think we kind of hit on it, like you can't be stressed, or another one is like it's unattainable, right? I think I was a lot like you, Eric, too. I had never been here. I never knew anybody here. It was a dream. Like we looked at those little kid gloves, like Hawaii, I felt that same way. I never thought this would be in my journey, but it really will. And I find that like people choose to buy over rent because the prices are so comparable. So when they realize like what's possible and what the prices really are, and I don't want to be in the code anymore, they start to see like that was a misconception, that it wasn't attainable. And it really, really, really is.
Gotcha. And does it get cold there at night, or is it always
It's been
warm?
chilly lately.
Chilly.
It's relative, right? Yeah.
I'm the cold person.
Okay, so what's chilly to you? Like, what are we talking? Like 60
It was at
degrees
60,
or
yeah, 60.
Right.
it's like 60 now here or whatever.
Yo,
Well, no,
I
it's just
know.
like 30 now. So I'll take it. I'll be visiting soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
Definitely.
So, and if this is repetitive, my apologies, but I tend to ask some similar questions because I always get a different answer. So, what is your favorite part of living in Hawaii?
Um, I would say like the interweb of culture in daily life. When I grew up in Michigan, I didn't really have too much understanding of like I want to say like indigenous population, the Native Americans, and like
Sure.
our role and like what happened in our history. And I just didn't know a lot. And like
Sure.
school taught me a bit, but there was still a lot of like I still learn stuff,
Sure.
all the time, just on Wikipedia about my own state. I grew up for 25 years. And here in Hawaii, it's like almost a requirement if you want to really relate to people and understand the culture of today to understand a little bit more of the history. And I think that's a real blessing. So, I didn't come here thinking like, oh, it's just going to be luau's and pig roast or something like
every day, all day.
Right. We kind of came with like a learning posture, and we've been blessed to really be embraced and taught as we've lived here more and more, which is really cool. So
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm gonna make my way there. Like literally, that's like the one place next to like the countryside of Italy and maybe some other places in Africa that I want to go. But like those are like some of the last few places on my list. So, and it's like in the US. I don't understand why I haven't been yet, but
yeah, it makes it easy because it's in the US. Yeah, that's another misconception.
I was gonna say that was a funny misconception too.
People are like, "Is this America?
Do I have to get my passport?
What stamp?" You're like,
right, exactly.
It's technically not. Some people are gonna say it's not America. Like, don't call it that. And you're like, I know. So you don't need a passport. Let's just start there. It's a lot of politics.
Gotcha. No, I can totally get that, especially with the cultural thing. We're kind of our own place, and we're not gonna even get into that. So
yeah, it's like,
so where do you recommend? So I'm a tourist. I just got there. Where do you recommend when I touch down? Where do I go? What do I do?
I got a place. You gotta go. You know what I'm gonna say?
Oh
no. Okay, that one too. But first, go to Local Joe's.
Oh,
so that's our favorite coffee shop.
Okay.
Black owned.
Nice.
It's a good one and really, really great coffee and like light foods and stuff. They close by like 1 or 2, so you got to kind of plan your day around that. And then if you get a chance and you want some really delicious brunch, and I don't get paid to say this, but go to Cream Pot, and they have like these Japanese souffle pancakes. Those fluffy. They're good. I know. I never seen them until I ordered them. I was like, this is not like IHOP. This is not like any pancake I ever had, but it's delicious and it's beautiful scenery. But definitely go to the beach.
Gotcha.
That's it. If you just go to the beach, you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to Hawaii and don't go to the beach, I mean, what are we even doing here?
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah. So coffee, food, beach. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what is the real estate market like there? So I noticed that you said that the leasing and the actual buying was very comparable. So could you touch on that for me? Just again, I have no knowledge of Hawaii.
Yeah. So I mean, we always, when we're talking to buyers, we talk about Hawaii as like this really strong appreciation market. So it's not a cash flow market. You're not going to buy a home and be able to rent it out that same day and make money. You'll probably run a negative. But if you're willing to hold on to a property for 3 to 5 years, you're almost guaranteed to make 3 to 5% appreciation annually. In which case, it seems like a good deal. You can buy in 3 years, actually have some equity and appreciation, sell at a profit. So the market has been pretty consistent with that over the last 40 years. And as you know, the market always has its ups and downs. But for Hawaii, it's always trending upwards, even now. So as prices have just kind of, really pushed northward over the last 2 or 3 years, we are kind of expecting somewhat of a recovery. But the conversation with buyers is even still, if your appreciation dips or your depreciation actually occurs, you're going to recover in 3 to 5 years. So just purchase as a little bit more long-term than short-term.
Oh yeah. That sounds great, especially if you want to come visit in the meantime, hold on to it a little bit.
That's right.
So I imagine Airbnb is a thing there. Would you say it's popular?
Man, it's actually Airbnb is a tough conversation. I have clients that are flying in later this month who bought a property 2 years ago, and they bought it as their secondary residence, right? So they spend a little bit of time here, a little bit of time in their home state. In the meantime, whenever it's vacant, they put it on Airbnb or vacation rental by owner. Since they've been doing that, they've actually gotten letters from the state of Hawaii and the city and county of Honolulu to stop doing that because they are not complying with local ordinances and zoning. So there is a few areas on the island where it's totally okay, it's totally acceptable, but there are a combination of zoning requirements, homeowners associations, and then just in general, use certificates that don't allow you to do Airbnb. So it's popular, but it may not always be, and it's definitely getting some pressure.
Gotcha. See, and this is why I asked those types of questions, because I would have assumed, oh yeah, well, just Airbnb, and here it is, a problem, So contact Jeff and Jess if you guys need questions and things answered regarding what you should or shouldn't do, or at least the process to get there correctly, because you don't want those types of problems. Awesome. So have you noticed a change in the real estate market since the start of COVID, or?
What do you think?
No, definitely. So I got licensed in April, and I think that we were just swimming in everything at the pandemic and realizing like everything was kind of, I guess, haywire. And it's been fast. That's like what I noticed, just like the quickest turnovers, the quickest open houses, the quickest days on market, like just so much movement and really, really quickly. And so I think everyone that was licensed before this is just looking at everything like, wow, I've never seen the market this way. And it's been really rapid, people moving. We have a big military base here too, population, I should say, several bases. Yeah. They make up a large part of our population. So there's this constant movement and them coming and leaving. And a lot of times they choose to purchase and make that investment. So I saw a lot of that. And then I saw people just very nervous, so what am I going to do with this secondary property in Hawaii? The economy's changing, the world is changing. So they sell their property really quickly. We may never meet them. And they're like, can you sell this really quick? Also, people getting empowered. I love that. People got really empowered. So I find like a niche market for me is I love like educating people, first-time home buyers, first-time home sellers, but minorities. And a lot of minorities got empowered during this time where they're like, I can own a home. I'm like, yes, you can. And that's been a big part of like something I've noticed. And I'm like, I'm gonna ride that wave and like keep trying to encourage that.
Amen. Absolutely. So it's a seller's market, it sounds like, still there.
Aggressively. Yeah.
Well, I hear it might level out, so we shall see.
Yeah.
We just lost a bid today, so I'm like, but I'm sure everybody's feeling that.
My one tip right now is like encouraging sellers to not be greedy. Don't overprice their stuff because buyers are getting exhausted. So
exactly, and that's my tactic, is to just still reasonably price it, and that way you're going to get more demand. You get a lot of backup offers, and it's probably just going to work out better for you. I never encourage greediness. I don't understand it. It's not necessary usually. So it usually doesn't work well in your favor, but. Those are just my thoughts on the matter.
I know.
And so are most people moving to Hawaii permanently, or is it a vacation home you're thinking, or just kind of a combination? Because I think we kind of already touched on that.
The vast majority of my clients, and we're in a price point between 150 to 2 million really is where most of our business is. And majority of them are primary residents. So they're moving here for the long term. They're moving here for at least 3 to 5 years. There's a small percentage that are doing secondary residences or like planning for retirement, which is interesting. Just kind of like setting everything up to where 3, 4, or 5 years from now, when they retire, they've got the place here that they're happy with. Only a few are really doing. Actually, I haven't helped any that are exclusively investment properties at all. Not that I can think of.
Yeah, they like talking about it though.
Yeah.
Everybody's like talking about Airbnb and wanting to do it, but then once they learn about those restrictions we talked about earlier, they're like, it's not as interesting. It's not as glamorous when you see how difficult it can be.
Gotcha. So, I mean, I assume before Airbnb was probably just vacation rental in general. So, do you think people were still already having issues with that too? Is it something that they kind of like prefer that people don't do because they want to have, I don't know, more control, I guess, over what goes on, or what do you think? Any idea?
Um, and correct me if I'm not answering the question. I think like vacation rental has been a thing forever here.
Sure.
We've heard stories about people that own their condos and they've had relationships with people in like Canada and New York that'll come and rent out the same condo every year for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Because of the accessibility of like Airbnb and VRBO and websites like that, I think it's become easier for the government agencies to track and do enforcement. And then there's been increased pressure. So like when we look at inventory for, our buyers, our first time home buyers, our primary resident buyers, there's just not a lot of inventory. And so when they hear about investors coming in to rent a property out, or your neighbor is having a constant influx of tourists day in and day out that are bothering you because they can't find the condo or something, there's increased pressure. And that, I think that's what's causing the pushback on Airbnb specifically.
I can totally understand that too, but I have a different perspective of real estate. Obviously, I've been doing this for so long, but a lot of people probably wouldn't understand that, but I can definitely see that being a big issue. And it's a disturbance to, like you said, the people that are just in the area. Nobody wants people knocking on their door like, hey, like, no.
Right.
Gotcha. And so any thoughts for people planning to move to Hawaii? If you someone just wants to pick up and move to Hawaii, they haven't really thought it through, what would be the first few things you give to them?
Be prepared for sticker shock. So what I don't like doing is shopping by the total price. If someone comes in, they're like, yeah, I want to buy something that's, 180,000. What I'd rather do is talk to people about their actual monthly budget and ask the question of, what is your total budget for housing? And let's see how that translates to what you could get here. So a lot of people come in and say, well, I want to spend like $1,300 a month. And then I show them how between, the apartment owners, maintenance fees, taxes, insurance, and then the actual cost of the home, what that gets them. They're like, okay, we need to think twice about some things.
Right.
So don't prepare for sticker shock, prepare for, smaller space, higher price, but understand that, that initial shock, like anyone that bought 3 to 4 years ago, especially my clients, no one's mad right now. No one's mad that they had to sacrifice 100 square feet or pay $50,000 more than they had planned. Everyone's pretty stoked about the value of their home. So we just have to kind of shift that mindset a little bit. And, usually we can make a route for everybody.
Gotcha. So on average, if I was someone, let's say there is just 2 of us and we want to move there, what are we looking at on average as far as the average price point for someone that wants something decent? So not like, the worst place you could have, not the best place you could have, but just somewhere in the middle.
Like a condo or a single family house?
Both, either or.
Okay. So we got some numbers on that. I think I just saw our High Central posted something.
Our MLS board is she's talking about.
Yeah, sorry. All right, so a median condo sale right now is $497,000. All right, that's going to be an average of 14 days on market. And I'll post this on my Instagram. Follow me at the Real Estate Jeff. And then a single family. Follow me. He doesn't post. But for the it's all good. The single family median is 1.125.
Gotcha.
So,
and that's a new record. Basically.
How many bedrooms?
I always think those. What's that?
How many bedrooms is that? 2 bedrooms. It could be so location maybe. Okay, so we'll just go with the numbers.
It could be like 2, 3 bedrooms.
I think that's kind of like not everyone understands median, right? So like when we talk about for a condo, if the median is 497, that means 50% of the inventory is priced above that and 50% of the inventory is priced below that.
Gotcha.
And I think that's kind of encouraging, right? Because that means I can still go out and find a home that's 350 or 300. And the same thing for the single fam side, like the median is 1.1 plus. That doesn't mean all of them are priced that way, right? 50% are still below there.
Gotcha.
So for like, I would say my, average client, let's say like a family of 2 looking for a condo, they're probably going to spend close to between $400 and $450 on their purchase. And then for a single family home, that's where we've been seeing a lot of the upward movement. You're probably looking at on the low end 700, most likely on the high end 850.
Gotcha. And then what's the cost of living like? So groceries, gas, or is it kind of expensive? I imagine a lot of things are being imported, or maybe not.
Yep.
Okay, yes.
We do Costco.
Yeah, we're definitely Costco shoppers. We try to be smart. Like we're trying to spend a lot more money on local agriculture, local food.
Gotcha.
Because I think that's an added benefit for everyone.
Sure.
But the cost of living is it's much more expensive. We
Especially
actually
in Michigan, I think, like that shocked me.
I remember we went to last time we were in Michigan, we went to I think El George's.
Yeah,
and like
Cody Island.
They brought the bill, and I was just like looking at it like, well, where's the rest? Like, is that just for me?
It's like
is
a
that,
weird feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Gotcha.
We've gotten used to these numbers now.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like New York type prices? Would you say California type prices? Okay, gotcha.
Miami, like
most expensive place I've ever lived.
Yeah.
By far.
I can
So
imagine.
we lived in Florida for a little bit, and you can get a $20 drink, a $100 bill, easy.
All right.
Like that here, but you can still live on a budget here. Like we've picked up on minimalism, local things, like try to be responsible with the things we consume, try not to buy too much. So
absolutely. No, I could definitely, I don't know, I guess I have to come and visit, but I think I'd be willing to still pay a little bit more to live in such an environment, or at least, visit, right? I'm not sure. We'll find out shortly. So any thoughts for those who are looking to invest in Hawaii? So if they want to be, maybe a secondary residence, vacation home or something like that, any thoughts to them that pop in your head?
Yeah, I was just going to say the condo that I'm listing now that's for sale is $380 right now. And the tenant that was in there was paying below market. So a lot of people are asking me questions about what would it be like to buy that condo and just put a tenant in? And that's like a great investment for people. So she's paying, they're paying $1,950. So that's like a great amount of money to bring in every month. And again, that's below the average of anybody else in her unit. So you could take that as a tip, buy low, rent it out. Maybe you come back when you have time, use it as like maybe not a vacation rental, maybe not like, like that. Maybe you rent it out half the year. There's a lot of people who come for the, what do we call it, winter? They call themselves like snowbirds. Yeah, exactly. So they live in a northern or cold place or something like that, like Oregon or Michigan, and then they come here for 6 months. And that's a great way to invest too, because then you still get that culture, you still have the relationships, and it's like just a second place to live. So
nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I would suggest to any investor looking at like a market they're not used to is to be humble. Because I've been licensed since 2017. I've taken probably thousands of calls, and like people that think, they're going to come in here, they're going to offer under list, they're going to, make these renovations. It's only going to cost them $15K because they know guys, and then they're going to rent it out in cash flow. It's like, I understand that might have been your experience 1 or 2 times, but it takes a lot of due diligence to try and create these awesome scenarios and awesome wins. For example, we have one client that I helped buy, and he ended up renovating his kitchen, renovating his whole home. And because of the timing of the market, he was able to sell at a major profit. And he almost immediately was like, well, I want to buy something. I want to buy something else and do this again. And I'm like, no, you can't. It's not going to happen. We're not going to this was luck. This is pure luck. And we're buying at the top of the market now. And so we probably looked at another 15, 20 places. We ran numbers on everything. We, looked at long-term rental, kind of prepared for worst case scenario. And as luck would have it, he's actually about to close on a property where he's got instant equity. He's going to do some renovations and probably be able to turn around at a major profit again. Awesome. So, the deals are out there. It's just, he had to go 15 miles away from where he wanted to. He had to, be open to a new area. He had to increase his rental budget, and we had to look at things in a different way. Right. And that's how we found success.
Gotcha. So material labor costs, were they already high just being in Hawaii, or is that something that's okay? Gotcha.
Yeah, they're already high just because, a lot of things from Lowe's, Home Depot, all that, they have to be shipped over. But I guess because of the pressure of the supply chain and whatnot, prices have gone up even more. So specifically, like, he priced out flooring a couple months ago. And then now that he's about to close, he went back and got another price. And the cost went up $1,500 for the same exact floors.
That is a lot.
Same amount.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I've done a couple renovations and I already know what that must feel like to just started having a budget and then just anyway, poor guy. But he'll write it off. He will write it off. He'll be fine. So anyway. All right. We are towards the end here. So questions for you. I need from both or either of you, however you'd like to do it. Wildest Detroit story, wildest real estate story, wildest story in general, or most embarrassing story. Just give me something worth listening to. What you got?
I got two right off the dome.
Go ahead.
So one was I showed up to an open house here in Hawaii, and it wasn't my listing, it was my broker's listing. I showed up, knocked on the door, announced myself, and I'm like fiddling with the keys and all that stuff. And I'm looking around the house. All right, cool. It was great. Single family home, gonna have a great open house. And as I'm like kind of in the living room, I kind of see something out of the corner of my eye, like on the counter or above the counter. And I was like, like, what's that? And nothing. So I keep playing with the lock and I'm really focused on this lock. I think the key was stuck or something. And like, I felt something kind of breathing on me. And I turn around and it's this Great Dane that the owners didn't lock up, didn't put away. It's just walking around the house. And I saw it over the counter because its head is like up here.
Huge, yes.
And it's massive. And he's just like looking at me like, what's up, man? You're in my house.
What are you doing here?
Like, okay, no open house today. I was just like walking up as fast as I could. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I felt like I saw my life flash before my eyes.
Great Danes are huge. I mean, they massive are huge. Dog. Like me sitting down is probably his head's like right here. So seriously, definitely see that. Wow. So that was my number one, and my number two was having the listing agent disappear during the transaction. So we were in escrow. We got a great deal from my buyer, lots of seller credit, flexible timeline. And the listing agent stopped responding to my transaction coordinator. So I was like, all right, no worries. I'll reach out. So I reach out, nothing, no calls, no texts, no emails. We needed stuff signed. We needed extensions. We needed this and that. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'll just go and talk to the buyer directly. Sure.
And so I show up at the buyer's house and she says, yeah, I haven't heard from him either. When are we closing? I was like, we're supposed to close next week. And she goes, what? I didn't know that. And, so I just basically took over for the next 30 days. I had my client and his client and taking care of everything. And then literally like a week after we closed, he texted me and was like, when are we closing? And I just cracked up. I'm like,
are you kidding?
Not even responding to you, dude.
So he was alive. Wow.
He was alive. He was dead. He was doing something else. Yeah. I don't know what he was doing.
Wow. I've had that happen to me before. I literally had to take on like the person's client and it was weird, but and then she had to request that they weren't, signed up together so I could have all the commission, which ended up being okay. But still, It's like, wow, I was just never. So, okay. How about you, Jess? You got anything?
Oh man, I don't, get embarrassed easily. It's always something. I guess I got two. Okay. One is, they're mild, you guys, they're mild. But one, I was just amazed. One of our friends referred us to their friends who were moving, they were retiring, and we got to sell their oceanfront property. And that was just amazing because it was like over $1 million deal. And we were young and Black and just, like people, it felt rare, and it was just amazing to like cross all the misconceptions of maybe you can't have it. So that was like wild, I think. And then
tingly,
the second one, right? Yeah, I loved it. I was like, more please. Exactly. And that person, I hope she knows who she is. She has been such a blessing, just referring her network to us and being such a great friend. And we got a loaf of bread for you. And then and then our doggy, so her name is Leah and she's over there camping out, but we adopted her from actually clients who we got really close with. So it's like the family thing on the island where we, really respect ohana, which means family. And
Mm.
sometimes your family's people from somewhere else. Sometimes your family's adopted, like a
Okay.
dog. But
Absolutely.
that's pretty wild that we
Yeah,
got
it
our
is.
cool little dog from that. Yeah.
Yes,
So-
I've made a lot of friends with like clients, and so
Right?
I definitely know. I mean, it's like almost like a trauma bond, you know.
Right.
You're like friends forever
is.
after that. So that's awesome. Well, I know you guys have a lot to do over there in Hawaii, so we are going to close out. So a quick word from our sponsors. Is work or real estate getting you down? Are you feeling burned out or depressed? Well, there's a solution you can use right from the comfort and privacy of your own home computer. Center for Establishing Recovery is Metro Detroit's leading provider for e-therapy. If you're in need of a listening ear, contact Center for Establishing Recovery at establishingrecovery.com. If you have a question or topic you're interested in having us discuss, or are interested in coming on as a guest, advertising, real estate services, or sponsoring an episode, go to brickandmortardetroit.com/podcast. Jeff, Jess, is there anything you'd like to share or promote before we end?
Thank you so much, Eric. I definitely want to say that and
No
give you
problem at
points
all.
for doing this and sharing, your wisdom and connecting people. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's my way of education and community service too. So I am kind of big on education as well. So I definitely would like to have you guys come back, maybe talk about something a little bit more specific or maybe more in depth about Airbnb or something like that. But yeah.
Let's go. I can talk about real estate all day.
Same.
Me
Follow,
too.
follow the real estate, Jess.
Exactly. Me
Let's do
too.
it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
Awesome.
that's it for today. You've been listening to the Brick and Mortar Detroit podcast, where we discuss business, real estate, lifestyle, and travel. I'm your host,